Glad you made it back, everybody, here to the Kerik and Salcedo Show. Another socialist Democrat, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, tweeting out the Minneapolis Police Department is low on its police officers because they are, quote, unwilling to work. Joining me now to discuss global risk intelligence and planning CEO and Lieutenant Colonel retired U.S. Marines Hal Kempfer. Also here with me is former NYPD Commissioner and Newsmax contributor Bernie Kerik. Bernie, we'll start with you. The Minneapolis Police Department began 2021 about 200 cops down than they had in the previous year, partly after losing more than 100 police officers from the riots, the looting, the defund the police movement throughout that city. What's your take on Omar's comments that officers are unwilling to work?
Well, I don't think the American people are as stupid as she thinks. The bottom line is you defund the police, you defund their manpower, you defund their training, you defund their resources. They don't have the ability to do the job they're supposed to do. They're understaffed already. You knock them into another category of understaffed. The bottom line is they don't have enough cops. They don't have enough resources, and they need more than what they have to secure Minneapolis. And it's only going to get worse as time goes on if they don't change things.
No kidding. We saw a sitting congresswoman praising a riot in a prison while they're defunding police. It's just typical. Colonel, Joe Biden's current spokesperson, deputy spokesperson for the State Department, made an outrageous tweet that the nation's police officers were more dangerous to American national security than ISIS and Russian hackers. And she still has a job, by the way. What's your take on the priorities of this administration and the Socialist Democrats in general?
Well, that's a rather ridiculous statement. I know she made it a few years ago, but that just shows a level of ignorance of the threat posed by ISIS and the threat posed by Russian hackers. In fact, hackers from a number of threat nations, to include Iran and elsewhere. Right now, from a national security standpoint, we have a lot of different threats out there. And frankly, if you're a spokesperson for the State Department, you should be more attuned to what's going on. It also just shows what I would call a bias against police, which again shows a lack of understanding. Everything that the commissioner just mentioned, police have a tough job. I mean, I've trained in my career probably 25,000 plus sworn peace officers in threat assessment, terrorism, recognizing suspicious activity, and I have a pretty good idea of how they should be trained. And frankly, they're not getting the support they need.
No truer words. Bernie, let me take you back to this weekend, Washington, D.C. You had BLM and Antifa rioters showing up in town, threatening to, quote, burn the place down, to burn down the nation's capital, yet not one member of the basket of bias press, even the folks over at Fox, called them insurrectionists for threatening to burn down the nation's capital. Do you see a double standard here?
Yeah, I mean, look, they had 25,000 National Guard members. They fenced in Washington, D.C. for the inauguration like it was the green zone in Baghdad. The bottom line is, where is Mayor Bowser right now? Where is she when innocent civilians in her city are being threatened by Black Lives Matter and Antifa? Where is she? Where is Pelosi? Where's Schumer? Where are they? They can secure themselves. They can secure the Capitol to make sure that nothing comes near them. And they had no harm done during the inauguration. Now that the inauguration's over, the streets of Washington, D.C. are not secure, and they're not doing anything about it.
Well, I can tell you, Muriel Bowser, the last time she had a threat like this that hit Washington, D.C., she ended up naming a square after BLM. So I can imagine that we're going to get some sort of renaming for Antifa, the fascists in Antifa. Colonel, last question I have for you is surrounding China. As you know, the unfair trade practices that we are hampered with here in the United States, they were negotiated by Republicans and Democrats in the past that President Trump tried to correct. They lead to a lot of money going into China's coffers, and they use that money to build ships and weapons to kill American service members in the future. Number one, does that trouble you? Number two, do you think that Mr. Biden is equipped or even disposed with his ideology to turn that around?
Chris, I would hope so. I'm a little skeptical on what I'm saying. It goes beyond that. In many cases, the companies that are profiting from selling goods here in the U.S. Are owned or involved with the People's Liberation Army. It's much more direct than people realize here. A lot of those companies do trade here all the time. You know, we have a massive imbalance of trade. And if you look at what's happening in the South China Sea, if you look at the provocative actions by China right now, we should be very, very concerned. What they're talking about with Taiwan should leave us very, very concerned. I would hope that, if anything, we continue the tough stance we've had, throughout the Trump administration with China. And I hope there's some rapid education process going on in the White House.
Yeah, well, I don't know that education has much to do with it, but we'll just leave the discussion there. Gentlemen, I appreciate the time here on the Chris Salcedo Show.
Hi, Emma Reckenberg here. If you like this video, there's a whole lot more to see on Newsmax TV. You can watch for free right here on our YouTube live stream and be the first one here each time our experts break down real news. Just hit that subscribe button, ring the bell icon, and stay with us on America's fastest growing cable news channel, Newsmax TV.